What up, everybody? Your old buddy Josh. Why the hell did Georgia Tech call a timeout and leave time on the clock? Crazy. I don't know if you guys watched the Georgia Tech Boston College game. They called a timeout. He left freaking time. Hey, dude. It's like if you're in Atlanta, the head coaching and any team in Atlanta just want to freaking. Oh my goodness. All right, phew. So the game's over. All right. Let's see here. So Drewski says, I'm not sure how qualified dividends stack with ordinary income and filed taxes. Are they calculated separately? No, I mean, they're calculated under 1040. Right? They flow under 1040, so they're definitely not calculated separately. They're taxed differently than ordinary income. So we know qualified dividends are taxed 0, 15, 23 point was it 0, 15, 20 with a 3.8% NII, the net investment income tax. So not calculated differently in terms of they flow back to your 1040 there, Drewski. I hope I get some of the money I've been paying in. Yeah, you will. Let's see. What's up, Barry? Mike D. Greensville, Delaware. I don't know why I bother researching Social Security retirement planning. Still 30 years before I can be eligible. Man. So you're young and you're 37. What's up, Sam Wallace? All right. So a couple of things that was very interesting. I was reading. So my man has sent me this. Who sent me this? I forgot. Very, very interesting. On right here, History and Future of the Social Security Trust Fund, Part 1 from the Concord Coalition. And if you're familiar with the Concord Coalition, they suck. All right, that's all there is to it. Horrible group of people, but this is pretty interesting nonetheless. And they got 3 parts in this, Part 2, Part 3. They got all these, I like this stuff. I do enjoy. I'm not going to lie to you. But they got, that's pretty interesting. Average annual earnings of civilian employment. Look at that. Average annual earnings of civilian employment. Look at 1920 to 1942, nothing. Isn't that crazy? And then the war goes and the rest is histoire. Isn't that interesting, though? Look at that. Average annual employee, basically flat. That's nuts. And then you can see the taxes that we just all kinds of stuff. I'm not going to show it to you, all this. But then you get all these links, all these different actuarial studies, what we're going to look at right now, hearings of the Social Security Administration. And one of the very interesting thing is because of ACA and income limits, I'm going to collect Social Security in 2007. Yeah, right on. What's up, Eric? Hey, Penn State finally won a game. Wow, what do you know? Just to make things easier. Yeah. Anyway, so lots of good stuff in this, and then you got I like the all the reports from the actual documentation when they're writing Social Security. One of the things have you seen Dr. Ed Weir Lives? I've seen him on my YouTube feed once in a while. I haven't seen him for a while, but I don't understand. They did. Alabama lost. Sweet. Nice. I saw my boys, Iowa lost to USC. That pissed me off. But they ended up losing Oklahoma. Sweet. That's huge. I don't get why. I don't get why you say, have you seen Dr. Ed Weir Lives? I don't understand what you're saying. Have I seen him lives? I mean, I presume he's alive and he's on YouTube. My ACA went up $500 a month. That's crazy. Really, $500 a month? From what, Harry? Illinois? IU, is that Illinois or Indiana or what? No, Iowa didn't win. So what's the I? Illinois, Indiana. We got Iowa, Illinois, Indiana. It seems like, is there another I state? Have I seen Dr. Live? Oh, his live streams. I have not. Why? Yours went up to 1270. Okay, gotcha. Indiana. So yours went up from. All right, there you go. So 500, and I get what you're saying. So basically went up by 70% or so. Is that because you are over the threshold for that? You're over the threshold for that? My farm business health insurance went up $80. I wonder how much it went up for Joe Kuhn. Yeah, that's what I was wondering too. Is like, Gold plan and bronze plan. Yes, over. Gotcha. Okay, so you're over 4 times the federal poverty limit. Is that what you're saying? Yeah, so you made too much. That's like Pulverizer said. Be poor on. That's one draw things. Harry's rich. It's one negative thing about the annuities, Harry, is that the annuities, is you can't really hide that income off your 1040. That's one of the negatives on that. Anyway, so check this out. So now we're going to go over here and we're going to show you. So anyway, some people will say rich is relative. Ain't that the truth? All right, so this is pretty interesting. This is from the Council of Economic Security. Is that what it's called? What the hell do they call it? Council of Economic Security. CES. Council. Council of Economic Security. That's not what it's called. CES, the Committee for Economic Security. I think it's committee. Yeah, Committee for Economic Security. That's what it's called. So this is the Committee for Economic Security when they're kind of debating before Congress about Social Security. I think it's very interesting too. So anyway, a couple of things. I'll stop sharing for a second. A lot of people said you can't finance Social Security with a general revenue, and you can. I mean, unequivocally, it just takes Congress to do it first and foremost. But that's how it was funded initially. They talked about funding it through the general revenue. They did. Our ACA premiums went from 500 to 670. Yeah, they're going to blame Trump for it. That's what's crazy. They're going to blame Trump. I mean, I tell you, Obama's snake in the grass. He set it up right. Bruins at Montreal. Oh, man. All right. At the Canadiens. Yeah, I saw the Bruins against the Habs during the Winter Classic up there in Foxborough. It was a lot of fun. The Bruins laid an egg. We enjoyed it, though. They laid a big, fat egg. But the Habs with their old pinkish and like light blue, almost like a powder blue jersey. Oh, man, it's freaking beautiful shirts. Beautiful sweaters, as we say. Anyway, so let's go back to this. All right, so the Economic Security Act, estimated number of families and children receiving mother's aid and estimated expenditures. All right, so I just want to kind of go down here to where this guy's talking. This is a guy named Dr. Witt. Dr. Witt, and he was the CES's executive director. All right, so he was the executive director of the Council for Committee for Economic Security. All right, and here's what he says. I want to make one further observation I think is fundamental in understanding the problem, that the cost of supporting the old people is necessarily very great, whether met by themselves or by someone else. At present, life expectancy this is the thing that drives up the wall. Even this is in 1933. Even then, we knew the life expectancy was based on your age. It wasn't based on just being a baby. All these people say, oh, you're 65, your life expectancy is only 78 years old, or whatever the hell they say. They're just wrong. So right here. At present, life expectancy, or for a man who is 65 years old, still has on the average 11 to 12 years ahead of him. A woman has 15 years ahead of him. So what you'll hear is what they used to say, oh, the life expectancy back then was only 62, and Social Security didn't kick in until 65. It's just so stupid. I hate when people say that. And so it drives up the wall. I hate when people say that, because you're like, no, the life expectancy is for someone who's receiving Social Security. That's what matters. In this case, even back in 1933, if you're 65 years old as a man, you had another 12 years ahead of you. A woman had another 15 years ahead of you. You see, so we haven't really increased the life expectancy all that much for 65 years old. We just haven't. Then you have to argue too, like the life. What was the increase in life expectancy? And we can argue that. Certainly not friggin' pensions, vaccines. All right. So anyway, a large percentage of the aged are dependent upon others for support. Estimates prior to the Depression. Again, this is 1933. Estimates prior to the Depression selected studies in different states indicated that from 30 to 50% of the aged were dependent in whole or in part upon the support of others. All right, so we had 50%, up to 50%. Yeah, that's just G-H-E-Y. You hear that? Up to 50% of old people were depending on other people for support back then. Yikes. The old people have lost their savings just like many other people. And for old people, that means an irreparable loss. The great number of old people who are dependent have been, and we expect will continue to be, supported by their children. This bill does not contemplate that where children are able to support their parents, they should not do so. This bill contemplates that where old people do not have the means to support themselves and no children able to support them, they should be supported by the public in a decent and humane way through a pension system. So one of the arguments was, if we have a pension system, it's going to remove the burden from children onto the state, essentially the taxpayer. And he's like, we don't contemplate that. We're just saying we want to make sure we take care of the people who don't have that mechanism of support from the children. At the present time, the picture is something of this kind. There are about 100,000 people in public almhouses, a slightly larger living in number of private institutions for the aged, many of whom are paying their own way. There are about 140,000 people, not all of them over 65, who are receiving pensions under industrial pension systems. So all of 140,000 people. There are about 45,000 pensioners under the United States Employees Retirement Act. So 45,000 government employees are getting pensions. 140,000 are getting pensions from industrial pensions. And 3,000 under state retirement acts. All right. So we keep, and then about another 25,000 under teachers' pensions. All right. Check this out. At this time, there are about 180,000 people. 180,000 people are pensioned under the general states' old age pension laws, i.e., some states had their own version of Social Security. There are approximately 700,000 people over the age of 65 who are on federal emergency relief at this time, mostly as members of families rather than independent units. 700,000 people were receiving emergency funds at that time, even though they're members of families. So the family was taking care of them. They still needed some kind of money coming in. 700,000 dwarfs the amount of people on pensions. There are, in some parts of the country, a considerable number of old people who are on relief entirely from local sources who are not included in the federal emergency relief data. So you got 700,000 people on the federal emergency relief. And then he says, one on relief in one form or another are probably somewhat less than 800,000 to 900,000 people. That is the largest group of the ages that are not supported by their own children are dependent. I mean, that's 1.5 million people were on relief or support at some point back then. 1.5 million. Crazy. I mean, it dwarfs the number of people on pensions. Then he talks about old age pensions in 28 states, Alaska, Hawaii. 8 of the states are optional. That is, they apply only in counties which have elected to come under the state old age pension system. Anyway, check this out. There are property qualifications in all of the laws. Nowhere are pensions paid where an applicant has more than $3,000 worth of property. That limit is lower in some states. So the state pensions, if you had over $3,000 in property, you did not get a pension. Isn't that crazy? The maximum pension is commonly $30 a month, which is the equivalent, the pension being the Social Security or old age, which is the equivalent of about $780 a month now. $30 a month was the maximum. But there are none that are higher. There are some that are lower. For instance, North Dakota has a maximum pension of $150 per year. It's like $12 a month. That's crazy. The averages range from $24 in Massachusetts and $22 in New York to $6 in Indiana and $8 in Colorado. Isn't that crazy? For instance, England has both a contributory annuity system and a non-contributory annuity system. They started a non-contributory pension system for people in need, just as our American states have started with a non-contributory pension system for people in need as well. The cost, though, became so great that in 1925, England supplemented the non-contributory pension system with a contributory annuity system. And France has had the same experience. The pensions everywhere in foreign countries are low. In England, the non-contributory pension is 10 shillings, whatever the hell that is, half a pound or $2.50 a week. So basically $10 a month was a non-contributory pension. And I already said that if you had $30 a month, you're making, in today's numbers, that's $780 a month. So if you got $10 a month, you're making like $300 a month. No, about $250. Yeah, $250 a month. Crazy. In Canada, the national pension system is $20 a month at this time, shared with the Dominion and the provincial governments. Anyway, that's crazy, man. So England was going broke because they had non-contributory pensions, i.e. Social Security that they're paying that no one's paying into. I retired 5.5 years ago. I'm still the youngest one at the morning coffee shop, man. Yeah. Have to hang out with nurses and nurses and firefighters. Sounds kind of sexy. Anyway, I just thought that was pretty interesting. I think I had right here. For an old couple that owns its own home does not need to be provided for enough for rent, whereas an old couple that does not must also be given rent, is a question of the circumstances under which they live in each case. And obviously the needs of the old people vary in different communities. We have to contemplate that this depression has created a tremendous havoc with people's savings. The people that are now middle-aged or more, or at least many of them, are completely wiped out. They have only a short period of life in which they can make adequate provision for their old age. The situation that we are facing in the immediate future certainly is a great deal worse because of depression that we've been in. Anyway, I find that it's easy for people. I used to say this too. Like, I would have never voted for Social Security. You had people that were just, millions of people on alms, essentially. It's crazy. You just can't do that to your citizens, man. And, you can't. And people wiped out, their earnings were gone, their savings, if they had any savings to begin with, were gone. A lot of them had houses that were foreclosed on. It's horrible. And so the same thing is going to happen if we get rid of pensions or Social Security now. They're not going to, because they just can't have all these people walking around like zombies, man. You just can't. And so anyway, the point being is I just wish people would say, hey, at the end of the day, they're never going to get rid of Social Security. They're never going to cut the benefit. And how do we know that? Because people who are making $1,100 a month would be making $900 a month on Social Security. It's just not going to happen. It's just not going to happen. And so what's going to happen, obviously, is they're going to have to raise the taxes for sure. But they're going to fix it, but they're going to make it stronger because they have to. They have to. It's inevitable. They got to say, we've got to strengthen this. And the reason we got to strengthen it is why? Because people would be destitute, just like happened in the Great Depression. In fact, I was just listening. It's crazy. This guy, Academic Agent, very interesting. He talked about Stalin. He goes, was Stalin the monster that he was told that we're all led to believe? It's kind of interesting. It's quite interesting, because we look at the 1930s in Russia and in Germany, and we look at the 1930s in the United States of America, and the U.S. was in a world of hurt, man. You see what I'm saying? World of hurt. And so, like in this book right here, Victor Herman, his dad went to Germany in order to get a job with Ford, because Ford opened up auto plants in in Russia. And so he said, we're going to move our family there because there's no jobs in the United States. And Henry Ford, the Ford Motor Company and whatnot. Now, they have the land lease program, all that stuff. I get it, with grain, all that stuff too. But, the facts are, when we think in hindsight about how close we were potentially being overtaken by a communist revolution or a Nazi revolution, frankly, it's hard not to realize we needed to have an old person's pension, Social Security. Anyway, it's very interesting because the Committee for Economic Security says explicitly, I don't know if I can find it. Let's see if I can find that chart, because it says explicitly that it can be met with the general revenue. I'm not sure I'm going to find it. The general fund. I probably won't be able to find it here. But I was reading that general. Hold on a second. And because everyone says you can't do it from the general fund. Yeah. Oh, yeah, right here. They said you have to do it for payroll tax. And you don't have to do it for payroll tax. It's just stupid. You absolutely don't have to do it for payroll tax. Right here. Where was it? Right here. The original payroll tax schedule was designed to provide sufficient funds to pay benefits through 1960. During the initial startup period, surplus payroll taxes would be used to accumulate a reserve of government securities that would earn interest at an annual 3% clip. Once benefits exceeded payroll taxes and interest, the Committee for Economic Security agreed the shortfall should be funded by federal contributions from general revenue. General revenue. That's not payroll taxes. That's general revenue. Anyway, my wife took Social Security at 62 and a half, and I'll wait till 70, waiting to secure a benefit after I go. Yeah, man, right on. Hey, Kevin. Don't discourage him in having kids. We need people to Senator Warner wants to raise Social Security payments by $200 a month. You don't have to, how do you pay for anything? How do you pay for anything? You're always going to be a weird guy like me since society looks down on red pill people. Yeah. Let's see. Sanders wants to raise the cap and investment rates to rescue an investment. I don't get what investment rates means. We just got our benefit letters. We're going to get a combined 81,000. And see, that's what Andrew Biggs says is rightly so. At the end of the day, the facts are no one was supposed to get 81,000 a year on Social Security. It was never supposed to be like that. You see what I'm saying? It wasn't. And so by now it's the default retirement plan system. And at some point they might come back for future reference. So they say, hey, you can't make more than 6 figures of Social Security. I get that. That makes sense to me. But at the end of the day, they're not going to. I'm just looking back from where Social Security began, giving people basically $20 a month, essentially, the equivalent of $600 a month today. No, not even that. Probably $500 a month today. In today's dollar, $500. Here's $500. It's almost. I think supplemental security income pays less than that. To where we already making $81,000. Hey, nothing. Hey, I get nothing wrong with you, man. Nothing wrong with that. I'm hoping to get the same thing. But obviously, it was never intended to be like that. That's for sure. It's just they're not going to Social Security cap and long-term capital gains. That's what I'm trying to do. Yep. Let's see. Warren in the land of Massachusetts, Connecticut probably maxed out on taxing its population. I saw the car registration tax. How much is the car registration tax? Sorry, but I think they need to go ahead and cap those high Social Security payments. Oh, they're gonna. It's only a matter of time. 81,000 is different depending on where you live. Yeah, but 81,000 will still. You can afford to live any country, any state with $81,000. I didn't understand that either. They gave a number 3.8 to 16.9%. Yeah. I see. So 3.8 is a net investment income tax. Interesting. That's interesting, Andrew. So where's your other quote on Sanders? Sanders wants to raise the cap and investment tax rates to rescue Social Security. I'm all about that, dude. Nice fresh shave. Yep, right on. Clean as a whistle. I look like a crackhead right now. You do. But how much is the car tax? Yeah, I'm all about freaking raising the net investment income. Hey, thanks, John. Look at John saying being a client of Josh makes him one of the cool kids. It does. It does make you cool. 100%, John. All the ladies say, hi, John. I hear you're a friend of Josh. The Tech one, thank goodness. I was like, you cannot lose to Boston College, Georgia Tech. No way. Anyway, so I don't have any problem raising net investment income tax. I've always said since I started this channel, I think what they should do is they should raise the taxes, the qualified dividends and long-term capital gains on people making more than $1 million. Just make it taxed as ordinary income. I got no qualm with that. That's net investment income tax, essentially. And you use the proceeds and you fund Social Security with it. That seems like a winning proposition for me, for sure. Make more than $1 million. And I would also get rid of all charitable deductions, all of them. But they're not going to get rid of charitable deductions to the church, and they'll never get rid of freaking mortgage interest deductions. So what I would say is, if you have a nonprofit, you're going to pay the same taxes as a business, universities in particular. I don't understand why Republicans, I don't get it, man. Universities are the antithesis of conservative Republicans, and we still give them tax preferential treatment. It's crazy. It's crazy. They don't pay property tax. They don't pay income tax. They got all kinds of freaking idiots that are employed there for that don't do anything. and I don't get why they get tax preference, because they have no right wingers on their college campuses in terms of professorships, none. And so why we subs? It's the weird. I don't understand it, man. And it's the weirdest thing. I think they set 250 as an income, though not. Well, it's 250 is what it is right now. Oh, so you're saying, okay, so you're saying if they make over 250, they'll pay 16% as opposed to 3.8. Yeah, I don't. That seems a little bit. I see. I think that's going after upper middle class people, and I don't. I just don't look. That doesn't. I think you go after, if you're going to say you're for the going after the wealthy, then go after the wealthy, not the upper middle class. I mean, the upper middle class is self-employed people. Just stupid. So what I would say is go after the freaking wealthy. And if you're making over $1 million, are you wealthy? Yeah. Are you affluent? Sure. Are you uber wealthy? No. But I mean, that's where you go. You just, okay, $1 million, a nice round number, $1 million. I don't like VAT. That's a freaking scam. Absolutely. Because they got VAT in Europe and they certainly still have a lot of taxes too. I think they set well, it's worse than Keynesian. Universities are freaking anti-American. That's unequivocally. What do I think happened at midterms if Trump takes away Obamacare subsidies? I predict huge many MAGA on this healthcare. Well, he's not taking Obamacare subsidies. I mean, there's still Obamacare subsidies. What happened was they just went back to the pre-COVID thing where we had the cliff. That's what they did. So there's still the subsidies. You just got to be, you can't be over 4 times federal poverty rate. I have not looked up HR Bill 25 fair tax, but I'm familiar with, not Dick Cheney. Dick Armey used to have the flat tax, and he had a book on flat tax. Here's your income. Pay 10% if you're under this threshold. Pay 25% if you're over that threshold. I loved it. That's it. Just got to get rid of these deductions for these groups, man, because it's just scams. And we got people, United States citizens, who could use, a little bit, or the government could use the money in which to fund, freaking Medicare and fund Social Security. And I don't get, it's the biggest. I was reading his book the other day, and it was like, this dude is such a scam. All right. So what happened was this paper mill plant had millions of acres up in northern New Hampshire and Maine, probably 1 million acres or something like that. And so what they ended up doing is they're going bankrupt. So they had to sell it. All right. So what they were like, we're going to sell this, and we're going to put it on the market for $221 an acre. And they went to various, communities and say, can you buy it for $221? No, it's too high. And so like one of the green environmentalist groups, so we'll give you $100 an acre, says too low. So they said $200 an acre is too high. So anyway, so what happened was this developer out of Massachusetts and New Hampshire, they bought it for $221 an acre. Like, how they buy? They bought 90,000 acres at $221. All right. And it's like, so the Nature Conservatory, the Audubon Society, they didn't buy all that. The government, they didn't buy all that. And they wanted to buy it so they could, retain it so it wouldn't be freaking developed. Anyway, so the developers bought it for $221 an acre, which no one else was going to buy for $221 an acre. They said they didn't have the money. 3 weeks later, or 3 months later, the state bought it for $280 an acre. You're like, what? State bought it for $280 an acre? I thought they didn't have any money. So this developer bought it for $220 an acre, 90,000 acres at $220. No one else could afford it. And then literally magically 3 weeks later, the state bought it for $280 an acre, a $60 profit per acre for having it for 3 weeks or 3 months, whatever it was. You're like, how'd that happen? Well, we know how it happened. I guarantee you that's how you money launder, dude. To politicians. You say, I will donate a crapload amount to your freaking political campaign. You just come up with the money to buy me out for $280 an acre. You're like, but no one could afford it at $221. I know it sucks, but now you can. And so that's a $60 per acre profit these guys made. And look, I don't know what they did with the money, but you're telling me none of that went into the politicians, freaking campaign funds. I mean, it's crazy. It's freaking crazy. It's corrupt as all can be. That happens all the time, all over the place. And so they got freaking this huge amounts of acreage, and it's just like, what? And so the state buys some, then some developers buy the other. And you're like, well, I thought you guys can afford 220 an acre, but now you can afford 280. It's crazy. Definition of ghetto now. Suburbs are pretty, though. Great mountain biking here, just progressive politically. I'm happy egg here overall. No, what I'm saying, and if I'm Republicans, I'm saying we'll let the tax the churches, but we're going to tax the freaking, we're going to tax churches, more power too, but we're going to tax all the other stuff. You know what I'm saying? The education. That's what I would do. Selling their book. Oh yeah, 100%. Absolutely. Remember what was his name? Richard Gephardt, I think. Dick Gephardt. I think it was Gephardt. I mean, it wasn't him, but it was one of those guys. He had written a book and no one bought it except for the unions. It's crazy. Marie says, a friend of mine works in FedEx. Coworkers are young and only came to work to the max for SNAP requirements. Last 2 weeks, they were full time. Wait, what's the definition of a ghetto? I don't get it. What's the definition of a ghetto? Yeah, I'm not familiar. I just think at the end of the day, the Republicans are idiots for basically subsidizing our not just political enemies, our literal enemies. I mean, these people were going around espousing, Charlie Kirk being, in the neck and stuff. And we're subsidizing these guys. It's crazy to me, man. Crazy. And it's just, I don't get it. So anyway, and on top of that, the rich people are not Republicans. I mean, there's a few, don't get me wrong. I mean, it was Paul Singer and stuff, but the vast majority of the uber wealthy are Democrats. So why allow these guys to, Warren Buffett to give his money to the Melinda Gates Foundation or the freaking Jeff Bezos Foundation or whatever the hell it is, so they can turn around and give it to Black Lives Matter? It's just freaking crazy. Anyway, I retired from FedEx. Yeah, not selling books. Yeah, cash advance. Yeah, what I'm saying. Anyway, so I thought that was interesting about Social Security, just because at the end of the day, people are like, oh, Social Security is a scam. It's a Ponzi scheme. It is a Ponzi scheme. Social Security is, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, yeah, but what were you going to do, man? I mean, if you just look in 1930s, we had freaking millions of people without a pot to pee in. And we had, a booming economy in Russia appeared, and we had a booming economy in Germany. So we had the Nazis, we had the commies, and we're like, here we are, the capitalists supposedly, and we're freaking hurting. So they had to do something, and that's why and now it's here and it's ensconced. It's not going away. The question is again what will happen with people making over $100,000? I mean, I don't think that at some point I think they're going to cap it, so you can't make more than $100,000. I get that. Most charities use donation for administration costs. Yeah, like marketing, like big freaking black tie dinners and stuff. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Again, so for me, what I do to fix Social Security, I raise the payroll tax. Absolutely, there's got to be skin in the game. 100%. So instead of paying, I raise it by 0.5% on each side. So instead of being what's it right now, 6.2. I'd raise it 0.8 just to make it flat 7%. So we say, okay, go from 6.2 for you as the employee, 6.2 from you as employer to 7% each. I'd raise it to 14% total. That's what I do. And at me being self-employed, that would be a pretty significant tax hit. And then I would tax qualified dividends and long-term capital gains as ordinary income for those folks who have more than $1 million of income. That's what I would do. And I'd make that money go into Social Security. I can no qualm with Bernie Sanders saying I want to raise the net investment income tax. I just don't like it at $250,000 because $250,000 is not wealthy people. It's affluent and upper middle class is not wealthy. That's what I do. 100%. So, okay. And then I would say this is what we got. If you're going to raise the cap, eventually the caps can be raised. You see this a mile away. But if you're going to raise the cap, you're going to have to cap max benefits from Social Security as well. What about those Medicaid NGOs? Yeah, NGOs, man. Tax the hell of the freaking NGOs. I mean, all these guys, dude. They're getting subsidized by us so they can destroy America. It's crazy. Anyway, don't most, yeah, we were talking about that. Yeah, they absolutely do. And again, I just showed you guys this. Because the Republicans got to get off this note. Because I hear this all the time. Well, if they tax you or if they tax Warren Buffett, they're going to tax me next. I'm like, oh yeah. It's such a jump to say if they go after Warren Buffett, they're going to come after me next. I'm like, really? Really? Because they don't remember Walter Mondale. Walter Mondale said in 1984 convention, Reagan will raise your taxes, but he won't say it. I will raise your taxes, and I just told you I was going to. And Mondale went on to lose 49 of the 50 states, and the only state he won was his home state of Minnesota by 5,000 votes. That's it. So the idea of raising taxes on middle-class people, many of them who don't pay hardly any federal income tax anyway, it's just not going to fly, dude. It's not going to fly. It's just not going to happen. But this is what, look, I fell for it for years. I've said this a million times. I saw Ben Stein on some cable news show back when I used to watch stupid cable news saying, to fund the war, we got to have to raise taxes on the wealthy. I said, how dare you, Ben Stein? How dare you? That's communistic or blah, blah, blah. And now I'm like, yeah, we should raise taxes on the wealthy. I got no problem with that at all. Oh, you sound like a freaking socialist. Okay. It used to be really good. Okay, we're talking about FedEx. The whole system really been set up by, 100%, dude. It's such a money laundering thing. The whole system has been really set up to be a rich people, charitable, political racketing scheme. Yep. Unfortunately, too many benefit from it, or it won't change anytime soon. I completely agree. That's why I'll never get rid of the mortgage deduction. Even the vast majority of people they don't itemize their taxes, so they're not even taking a mortgage deduction. But if you say get rid of the mortgage deduction, you're going to have the National Association of Realtors on you like stink on crap. The National Association of Home Builders like, the mortgage deduction keeps us in business. You're raising taxes. You're like, very few people take the mortgage deduction. I mean, I got a mortgage. I haven't taken the mortgage deduction for a long time. I mean, 2016, 17, whenever Trump's tax bill came through. So we're going almost 10 years since I've taken the mortgage deduction. But that's what happens. So if you can't even get rid of the mortgage deduction, you're going to ruin home building. You're not going to get. Just imagine if a Republican, we'll just say J.D. Vance, 50-year mortgage is not bad news, Denise. It's fine. Absolutely. Why is it bad news? I don't get it. Why is it bad news? If people don't have to take it. If they find it's beneficial to them, they can take it. I literally don't understand that. It's like saying the 30-year mortgage is bad news. Why? Well, because we had a 5-year mortgage before. Yeah, you had to put 50% down, and you had a balloon payment after 5 years. Yeah, I literally don't understand the animosity towards a 50-year mortgage. I mean, it's not going to do much. I just don't get it. It's like, oh, my God, you're going to make the bankers richer. I'm like, then don't take it. I don't know. It's weird. But it could be beneficial to some people. It really depends on what the interest rates. It really depends on the difference between a 15, 30, and 50-year mortgage. If the 15 is at 5, the 30 is at 6, and the 50 is at 7, no, it's not going to do any good. It just won't. If the 15 is at 5, the 30 is at 6, and the 50 is at 6 1/4, it'll do a lot good. I just find it interesting, though, is all the same people say the 50-year mortgage is bad. I said, did you take a 15-year? No, I took a 30. How much more you give to the bank then? If you took a 30 over a 15, you just made the bank rich, did you not? Well, yeah, but it's just an option. Just an option. That's all it is. As a former DC lobbyist, most people have no idea how the sausage is made. Oh, I think they do. I think they have a very good idea how the sausage is made. They know it's corrupt as all can be. 100%, dude. 100%. Let's see. Double standard deduction is a hell of a, yeah, dude. That double standard deduction is a hell of a drug. It's good that it's permanent now. Yeah, dude. That double standard deduction is huge, because that means if you just made a good argument, why are we giving deductions to people who are wealthy? The vast majority of people taking the deductions are the uber wealthy. Why are we subsidizing them? Because the middle class isn't getting any deductions. And as such, you're like, why do these guys get the deductions? Just let them pay tax like everybody else. I don't get it. If you're freaking not getting a deduction, we got a mosquito bug flying around here. I don't get it. Say, look, man, they're going to move what they'll say is they're going to move they'll re-domicile to Ireland or something like that. Okay. They're going to re-domicile to freaking Monaco. Anyway, I just right now, this is the thing with the wealth inequality thing that I do think a lot of Republicans miss. Yes, we've all gotten wealthier, but the facts are the wealthier have gotten so much more wealthy. They have more control. It's not just that we are worse off than we were. We're better off. No one should argue that. But the facts are the wealthier have that much more control. That's the problem, man. The elite have more and more control because they got so extraordinarily higher in wealth. No, it wasn't like that. And that's why I did a video yesterday. I said, basically the average wage went up by 20%. The S&P 500 went up by 20% more than the average wage over the course. I think it's like a 40-year time frame. From 1980 on, the S&P 500 went up like 300 times more than the average wage. And that's great if you have index, but if you have investments, but most people, their investments are worth a hell of a lot less than their income. They'd rather get higher wages than higher stock returns. That's just a fact, because a wage is what you live for right now. And it's nuts how many people are like, oh, we're all better off. I'm like, yeah, I get it. But we could have been better off with higher incomes if we had some mechanism to police some of this massive growth on the wealth inequality divide. It's because these people control too much of the wealth relative to political maneuvering. And this guy right here says he was a lobbyist right here. And the people got money. You think Congress writes these bills? The lobbyists write the bills, man. And the lobbyists going to do for them the right for themselves. Let's see. More control and so much more money while workers' wages are 100%. Exactly right. That's the thing. Workers, I'll prove it to you right here. We got it right here. Yeah, right there. There it is. I wish Republicans would stop just the basic, kind of like Democrats. If you criticize any black guy, you're a Republican, you're a racist. That's just so freaking trite. I just wish the Republicans would stop that too. Hey, maybe we should look at, there's too much wealth being accumulated in too few hands. Oh, you're a communist. No, they don't read the bills. They don't even write them. The lobbyists write them for sure. I mean, they don't know what the hell's in there. Hell. Anyway, so check this out. And we see right here, this is from real housing price, rent, and wage indices. And you can see the housing prices is here in the purple. All right. It's gone up. It was at 100 in 1990. Now it's at 165. So it's gone up 65% net of inflation since 1990. Rent prices have gone up about 25% above inflation since 1990. And wages have gone up. Let's see here. What's 100? Right here. Wages have gone up. Wages right there. About 8% since not 1990, but 8% since 2000. So rent has gone up significantly higher than wages. Housing prices have gone up significantly higher than wages. And the S&P 500 has gone up significantly higher than wages too. And everybody is a wage earner. Everybody is. Increasing wages increase it for everybody. That's just a fact. Everyone understand. If you don't agree with the Democrats, you're a racist, Hitler, Nazi, Trump supporter. Yeah, but no. It's not the Democrats calling us Zionist. It's the I guess they do call us Zionist actually, but it's even worse. So it's the actually that's not what's the Mark Levin, all these guys saying. I guess he's saying the same thing. If you don't agree with Mark Levin and Ben Shapiro, such a scumbag. Did you hear what he said? Oh, dude, I cannot stand Ben Shapiro. Did you hear what Ben Shapiro said? Hey, young people, if you can't afford to live in America, you shouldn't live here. Like, you freaking clown. Go back. Dude, I can't stand that guy. He actually said, hey, America, young America, if you can't afford to live here, maybe you shouldn't live here. I was like, dude, I can't stand that guy, man. Nothing wrong with being rich. The purpose, to me, of the government is to find ways the money trickle down. Taxation doesn't trickle down, it's wasted. No, he's not at all, dude. He's just, it's almost like, is he trying to literally destroy the Zionists? Because he's doing a good job. He and Mark Levin are doing, and Lindsey Graham and all these guys are doing a good job. And Ted Cruz. It's not just the Jews, it's the friggin', the dispensationalists and whatnot. It's like, dude, you guys are Ted Cruz. I'm like, what are you doing, dude? You lost your mind. Let's see here. What's crazy, we talk about $2K a month, Social Security benefits that the individual pay for, but we scratch checks out to huge companies all the time. I can completely agree. 100%, man. 100%. Now, the people didn't actually pay for it, though. Just keep that in mind. I mean, you didn't pay nearly what your benefit is going to be, but I hear what you're saying. The amortization schedule on a 50-year loan is what? Is bad. Well, again, it all comes down to interest rates. So it literally depends on what the interest rate someone will get on a 50-year versus the 30 versus a 15. Because you can easily say the amortization schedule on a 30-year is bad relative to a 15. You could easily say the amortization schedule on a 15 is bad relative to what it used to be, which is we had a 50% down payment and you had a balloon payment after 5 years. And that's why very few people own houses. Oh, and guess what happened? Well, after the Great Depression, during the Great Depression, many people, I think it was 20% of owner-occupied homes lost their houses. And think about it. If you bought a $10,000 house, just use that for example, $10,000 house, all right, in 1927, and you had to put $5,000 down. All right, so you had a 50% loan to value. You borrowed $5,000 and you put in $5,000. All right. What happened was in 1932, the price of that house is now down to $6,000. $6,000. You still owe $5,000 on that. All right, so you lost $4,000. You still owe $5,000 on that. And guess what? In 1932 is a balloon payment for that $5,000. And maybe you lost your job. Maybe your job is downsizing. Maybe you don't get paid as much. Maybe the bank is going to call the loan. What do you do? What do you do? That's why one of every 5 homeowners owner-occupied homes lost their houses in foreclosure because they couldn't afford it. They said, I don't have, and that's if you had $5,000 on a $10,000 house. You see what I'm saying? I mean, what if your house went down 50% or something like that? You know, you're doomed, man, doomed. And it happened all the time. And that's just horrible. And so at least a 15-year stretch the payment out so you don't have a balloon payment after 5 years, even though you paid a hell of a lot more in interest. A 30-year did the same thing. A 50-year could do the same thing. Yeah, well, I don't think tariffs caused the price increases to begin with. I mean, I would have never tariffed the stuff we can't make anyway. I don't get that. But we can make beef. That's a fact. You know, I don't want to import beef if we can make it here. Coffee is harder. I mean, that's just, I get it. I get the coffee thing. But again, we saw the tariffs did not lead to the price increases. How do we know that? Because other people had massive increases in coffee prices too. So the idea that the tariffs inherently caused the price increases, well, then what caused the price increases in coffee all over the world? You see what I'm saying? Tariffs don't increase prices the way people say. They just don't. Could they have some contributory? Sure, small potatoes. But I mean, it's just the evidence of tariffs increasing prices is so small. And every single time I say that, people just laugh at me. Like, oh, you're an idiot. I'm like, just prove it. Prove it. Prove what you got. And they'll say, well, coffee prices increase. I'll say, okay, so did Trump raise tariffs on coffee prices all over the world too? Because the coffee prices increased all over the world too. Did Trump raise tariffs on freaking, you name it? I mean, because we have evidence, not just evidence, explicit evidence, what happened with steel and aluminum after Trump's tariffs in 2018. The prices went up a little bit, then they came right back down to be much, much, much lower than what they were pre-tariffs. But we don't just have the Trump stuff. We have evidence going back to, I've said this 1,000 times a Sunday. People get bored of this. I get it. But for me, it's one of those things that because I used to think this too. Tariffs bad, free trade good. Tariffs bad, free trade good. And then I said, wait a second. Why are tariffs bad? They raise prices. Oh, And tariffs caused the Great Depression. Yeah. Okay. Wait. Great Depression means what? Deflation. But I thought you said tariffs raise prices. They do. Okay. Well, that doesn't make any sense. Okay. So that's weird. So what happened in 1922 with the forwarding tariffs? Oh, the economy took off like a bat out of hell. Interesting. What happened in 1897 with the McKinley was it was in 1890. I'm forgetting the guy's name in 1897. Oh, the economy took off like a bat out of hell. In fact, because of our tariffs, our protectionism, we were able to overtake England as a primary manufacturing country in the world. Interesting. Very, very interesting. McKinley tariffs in 1890, nothing bad happened. 1893 with a massive recession, but you can't really attribute that to the tariffs because the tariffs came in 1890. So you just don't. So the evidence that tariffs are bad isn't there. The evidence that tariffs raise prices just isn't there. Just not. And I don't understand why people think this because they've been told this. They say, hey, if you're going to restrict trade, it's going to raise prices. Okay, well, let's see. Are we restricting trade? Are we restricting trade? And the answer is we're not restricting trade. You can still trade. Just some people have to come to the table with less profits because they don't want to, they still want to have the consumer buying it. What I'm saying, coffee prices went up because Brazil had a massive drought. Exactly. Brazil, but people don't want to hear it. They just hear terror's bad, Trump an idiot. Terror's bad, Trump an idiot. I'm like, the Democrats used to be the party of the working people and the terrorists, protectionism and terrorists. And it just this is what happens when you have too much wealth accumulated in too few hands. The Democrats were bought out by the green idiots in Silicon Valley and Wall Street and things of this nature and Hollywood. And they've just lost connection with their base. They just did, man. Working people. And the Republicans just, I mean, there's less rich people supporting the Republicans, I grant you, but the Republicans still are, they just want to be the cool kids. Ted Cruz, he just wants so badly to be a cool kid. I want to be invited to the rock and roll shows and stuff like that with the cool kids. I'll do whatever it takes. Just invite me. It's crazy, man. The Republicans got this Stockholm syndrome. They're just like, please don't laugh at me. And it's just like Republicans, you have such a wide opening to cement your Trump base, but now Trump's screwing it up too. I don't know what the hell Trump's doing with Marjorie Taylor Greene. But Trump has lost his mind in this regard. I don't get it. I think what it is of Marjorie Taylor Greene is she's wanting the Epstein stuff to come to a vote in the House. And she's like, let's just put it to a vote. Let's let the House people say they're going to vote for it or against it. And Trump doesn't want that released. So now he's attacking Marjorie Taylor Greene because he says, hey, Marjorie, he's like doing it right now because I think she's trying to introduce the bill next week to get a vote on releasing of the full Epstein things in the House. And Trump's like, oh, I can't have that. Can't have that. And I don't even think Trump, I don't think Trump's a pede. I think he likes women. I know he likes ladies. You know what I'm saying? He likes young, gorgeous women. I get it. And wouldn't shock me at all, Trump was getting jiggy with some 19-year-old girl in freaking Epstein Island. If that shocks anybody, where the hell you been? I don't think Trump's a pede, though. So I don't think it doesn't bother me at all. And if he is a pede, I don't want him in the office. That's a fact. So that doesn't bother me. I think what it is, though, is Trump's so worried that some of his friends and pals are going to be indicted in there, and not even political people. That he's like, and frankly, I bet there's a lot of people that could get not indicted like legally, but incriminated, and he doesn't want that, rightly, wrongly. But I said, Trump, you're a liar. You said you're going to release the Epstein thing. Then when you ran in 2000, the beginning of this year, we had all these guys with freaking Pam Bondi and their files of Epstein emails. It's a scam. A couple months later, you said it was all conspiracy theory about the Epstein tape with files. You're like, what? And now you're saying we're not going to release them. It's just you can't trust these guys. It's like, what the hell, dude? You're gaslighting. I mean, this is gaslighting. Telling us what didn't exist when before you're telling us it did exist. It's complete gaslighting. And then going after Marjorie Taylor Greene because she's like, no, we just released the files. That's what you campaigned on, dude. And saying, oh, she's the worst person ever. And I'm seeing all these idiots like Cernovich and stuff on X saying, oh, we got primary Marjorie Taylor Greene. And they want a primary Thomas Massie with freaking money given by, let's just say, people who want a lot more foreign influence on our elections. Let's put it that way. We got to go after Thomas Massie. So basically right now, the people who are no longer MAGA are Tucker Carlson, Thomas Massie, and Marjorie Taylor Greene. Those aren't MAGA types. And the people who are MAGA are like the Karl Roves of the world, the Ben Shapiros and Mark Levins. I'm like, huh? Yeah, I don't think he did. I don't know. I mean, you just conjecture. You don't know that. I mean, you're just thinking you don't like Trump, so you're thinking you don't like Trump. Trump likes girls or young ladies, so you think he's got to have been messing around with underage girls, but you don't know. But if he did, I don't want him president for sure, but I don't think he did. I just think he wants to protect people. Yeah, it doesn't. But I just freaking what? Crazy. I think that the wealthy may say it's easier to manipulate Democrats, maybe because votes are based on emotions. Yeah, maybe. Yeah. I don't know. I think they're all easy to manipulate for sure. I mean, I don't think you go into Congress with an intestinal fortitude that will allow you to avoid. Remember when the Republicans took over in 1994? I'll never forget Rush Limbaugh saying this. Rush Limbaugh say, "All right, Republicans, Cokie Roberts is going to come and bat her eyes at you At first, I never understood that Cokie Roberts is never appealing, but I get what he's saying. She's going to try to be friends. She's going to bat her eyes at you, and you're going to be just inundated with all these people who all of a sudden think you're the best, and you're going to fall for it. Next thing you know, you're going to be inundated in the Washington, D.C. culture, and then you're going to sell your soul for rock and roll. Exactly what Joe Scarborough did, John Kasich, many of these guys. They all do it, dude. They all do it. They go in there and they get inundated in D.C., the power, they love it. The expense bills, all this stuff, Cokie Roberts back in her eyes. They're like, oh, man, this is great. And they just sell their souls, man. And the thing is, Republicans are supposed to go there to minimize the government. Democrats are going there to advance government. And what is D.C.? It's government. So inherently, the Democrats are already winning because you're going into the government. And so when you're in the government, you want to control it. And that means advance it as well for your issues. Yeah, what I'm saying, you can't pay down debt when you're running deficits. Another thing, too, that drives up the wall. We got to use this money to pay down debt. What money? B, if you're running $500 billion deficits, you're not paying down debt. It just does not happen. You can't pay down debt until you get a balanced budget. It's just you can't. It's impossible. It's impossible. Just think about your credit card. I mean, if your credit card interest is $200 a month and you're paying a monthly payment of $100 a month, inherently you're not paying down principal. You're just not. Trump likes you until you question anything he said. Is said what I'm saying. I mean, look, I'm still Trump. I mean, he's a lot better than stupid heels up Harris. But I mean, come on, man. The guy will sell you out for freaking 2 pounds of silver in 2 seconds flat if he feels you're in his way. It's just not good. It's not good. And I still remember 2020. A lot of the Trump sycophants, they just think Trump had no power in 2020. That what could he have done? The same guy who's going to break the the chain of command for big government and all this. He had no power in 2020, but now all of a sudden he has enough power to break the monopoly of the government. It was crazy. I don't understand. Either he's too weak here, but he's too powerful. It's weird to me, man. Weird. I get emails from the people all the time on this, on Trump. No, dude, you don't get it. He's coming. He's coming. Like, okay, we've only heard this now this is his 11th month in this second term. Nothing's happened. Nothing. I mean, look, I like the borders being closed and I like the tariffs. Some of the policy stuff I love. Absolutely. But in terms of some of the other stuff that was, he did part of the January 6ers. I mean, lots to be happy with Trump, but going after your own base is crazy. Marjorie Taylor Greene, going after her of all people, is like, what? Campaigning for Lindsey Graham? I mean, it's crazy, man. Freaking Randy Fine, that's your boy. Lindsey Graham is your boy, but Marjorie Taylor Greene and Thomas Massie are their enemies. It's crazy. Yeah, exactly. Epstein stuff's just distraction. 100%, man. Just let it go. Say, okay, here it is. Then hell with what happens, man. I mean, because no one's going to let this go. And I don't even care that much. If you got Peds down there, go after them. But I mean, other than that, it's just, I don't really care. If Trump's freaking cheating on Melania with some 19-year-old Ukrainian girl, it's weird. I don't like it. But that ship has sailed. You see what I'm saying? With Trump been married 20,000 times. I mean, it's just, I don't care if you're cheating on your wife as long as you're freaking shutting down the borders and making America great again. I hate to say it, but I didn't vote for Trump because he's freaking, an angel. I voted for Trump to freaking bust heads. That's what I voted for the guy for. Oh, did he also did Trump say vote for Cuomo too? Oh, yeah, dude. I mean, 100%. So it's another thing, too, is anytime you criticize Trump, all the Trump sycophants like, oh, man, I'm like, no, dude. Yeah, Trump's got to be criticized. This is how the Democrats went so far left, because they had so many crazies on the left who were just pulling them to the left every single year. The crazies were pulling them to the left, pulling them to the left, pulling them to the left. And now they're crazy left. You hear Joe Biden from 10, 15 years ago, you're like, that's not the same guy. Obama, Hillary Clinton, you're like, what the hell happened? Because they had all these people pull them to the left. And the Republicans have always been, let's just moderate. So that way we can appease the people in the middle. And we never do. You got to pull them to the right. Say, you're going to lose us, Trump, if you keep this crap up. Trump endorsed Cuomo? Yeah, Melania is pretty hot, dude. I saw a picture with him, Melania, and what's his name, Epstein, and whatever that chick's name is. She did have a weird. She had a weird look, a weird face, a weird facial structure. It was like, you know, how they say Big Mike with Michelle Obama. We know Michelle Obama's a dude. I could kind of see Melania being a dude from that old picture. It's kind of funny, man. I almost wonder if she had an Adam's apple. How would the left affect my retirement in a few years? That scares me. Lesser of two. Yeah, what I'm saying. It's always the lesser of two evils, though. But it's just the issue is, Jeff, we hope that Trump would go out there. We hope that he would follow what he said. Epstein files, lock her up. It's just, I get it. I'm not an idiot. I know how politics works, but it's just like the Epstein file is an easy one. I mean, and that's then the freaking thing with H-1Bs. And some idiots are like, well, H-1Bs are only 700,000 people. We have a workforce of 130 million people. So H-1Bs are like 0.45% of the total working population. It's not a big deal. Like, hey, well, it's not a big deal. It won't be a big deal to get rid of them either. French Prime Minister's wife is definitely a dude. Absolutely. Trump endorsed Cuomo because Trump said a crappy Dem is better than a commie. Yeah, how many people did Madami kill, and how many people did Commie Cuomo kill? I completely disagree with that. He doesn't want the Epstein out because Trump doesn't want another impeachment. I mean, he's already been impeached twice. No one cares. You know what I'm saying? I mean, what do you think? If he released the Epstein file, that'll make him be impeached? I don't get it. Either way, we don't know what the hell's going on. All we know is we haven't received satisfaction on that. And as such, it's time for Trump to listen to his base, crack down H-1Bs, crack down on all immigration, not just illegal, and freaking just let's get this party started. Let the Epstein files release and just get back to your MAGA roots, dude. It's crazy. 90 lib chicks were hot. Libs now are fat. 90s lib chicks were hot. Libs now are fat. Septum. Yeah, dude, it's 100%. Train wrecks. Yeah, I agree. Hippie chicks were hot too, and now just, crazy. Yeah, I don't know, man. I just at this stage, it's like I've always been the center of political. I just don't see anything logical. The position right now too far left. Well, it's not too far right. We need further right, dude. I want Trump to go freaking Pinochet. That's what I want. I want Pinochet, a freaking Franco in here. That's what I'm looking for. Because we've had enough of this freaking, just tiddlywinks to the left. People forget how evil the left can be, how violent they are. Did India fall in line and Trump was, oh man, good point, Andrew. I wonder. Yeah, that's a good point because that's what happened with China. When Trump was on, what's her name? Not Megyn Kelly, the other chick. He was saying, 600,000 Chinese. Oh, and Lauren Ingram, she's like, what the hell, dude? And some guy had made a good point, said maybe he's doing that to, basically have a negotiation with China regarding tariff stuff. I said, that's a good point. Yeah, maybe Trump's falling in line or India's falling in line and Trump's reacts to H1B. Yeah, I bet you're right, dude. 100%. Yeah, dude, 100%, dude. I mean, look, we don't have much longer in this country after COVID. It's weird. Like people like, oh, you want a fascist dictator. I'm like, well, I want some guy to freaking to right the ship. We're so far this way. We need to get a radical guy to right the ship. Absolutely. Do people not remember how bad it was in COVID? And other than for a few governors, Kemp, DeSantis, even that idiot in Alabama was an idiot. I mean, she wasn't quite forcing vaccines because she couldn't, but she was so many Republican governors fell in line. Crazy. I'm like, that's what they did during COVID. They rounded up January 6th. They went in Melania's underwear drawer to sniff her freaking panties. That's just 4 years ago, man. And I'm like, when these guys take power again, you think they're going to stop at sniffing Melania's panties? 130 million working, but our population is 350 million. Well, you got the working population. That makes sense. I mean, basically, they're probably looking at 25 to 54, I imagine. Big tech companies need smart, cheap tech needs. That comes from India. Big U.S. tech needs smart, cheap tech Yeah, well, they're not smart. That's the thing. I mean, look at the IQs of Indians compared to the IQs of Americans. There's a great study done. This guy posted this. I think I have something called a PISA, which is let's see if I can't find it. And that had actually the very end. I'm not going to post it, but let me see if I can't find it. This is fantastic. So this guy posted the P, which I forgot what the PISA was. But by the way, that's what I just posted on my socials right there. Yeah, 100%, man. Yeah, right here. Here's an anomaly. Trump endorsed Lindsey Graham, gave Fauci an award, cuts deals with Pfizer CEO, invites Bill Gates to the White House to talk about his future plans with Trump. Yep. And yet Marjorie Taylor Greene is the traitor. Okay. Let's see if I can't find this piece that's very interesting. Oh, right here. That's another stupid talking point. Controlling for race, U.S. white and Asian students are at or very near the top of the list for global PISA scores. And PISA is some kind of international SAT, essentially. You can't really see it, but it's going to be tough to see. But you'll see in here, U.S. Asians are number 1. U.S. whites are number 5. Singapore, Taiwan, Japan are number 2, 3, and 4. So we're ahead of Koreans. We're ahead of Switzerland, Estonia, Swedish. Indians are way down in PISA scores. So U.S. Asians and U.S. whites are crushing. So the idea these Indians are going to come here and do stuff that we don't know how to do. And Hong Kong is 2 below U.S. whites. And I don't see China as a whole anywhere on this. U.S. Hispanics are above Vietnamese, by the way, just FYI, above Turkey. Yeah, U.S. blacks are and it's funny. U.S. blacks and Ukrainians are tied. Isn't that interesting? Anyway, so I don't know where China. Maybe China doesn't do it. I think China stopped doing it. Actually, I think they stopped doing it because they're showing that maybe they weren't all that in a bag of chips. Anyway, so if you control for race, U.S. whites and U.S. Asians, we are crushing. We just are. And as such, you're like, wait a second. We don't need Indians coming here. We don't need Chinese. We got our own Chinese Americans, our own Indian Americans, our own white Americans, our own Hispanic Americans, our own black Americans who can do this stuff. Absolutely, unequivocally. And so for Trump to say, oh, we need the Chinese because we don't have the skill set, it's freaking idiotic. Actually, that right there pissed me off more than anything. If I'm a Democrat, I'm running like that on crazy. Say Trump doesn't believe in American people because he said it with his own mouth. Might have made a mistake. Still said it. Freaking idiot, dude. You can't ever see. That's worse than the basket of deplorable thing that Hillary said. Because Hillary wasn't president when she said it. Trump was president negotiating with China to get Chinese people over here to take our jobs. Crazy. Just this freaking stuff. What do I realistically expect? Not much. I mean, I like the borders being sealed, so it proves that we can close the border. I like that 100%. I like, again, mostly it's just always judges. It's always just going to be judges when it comes to Republicans. We're never going to get anything major passed. I mean, you got a major tax bill passed. I like that. Look, I like Trump. I'm glad he won. I'm still favorable to the guy. I just think if something happened like 3 months ago. And some people are saying when Charlie Kirk died, I don't think it's Charlie Kirk. He started sliding back a few months ago. And I just said, this reminds me of 2020 Trump. 2020 Trump. I was like, you got to read your base, dude. Read the room. You just won't do it. No, I'm not watching Texas and Georgia. Yeah, Vietnamese are cool as hell. I agree. Yeah, and they hustle, good workers, and they don't put up with, let's put it this way. You got a 4'8" Vietnamese woman. She ain't putting up with anyone talking. Let's just put it this way. She's not putting up with anybody. U.S. Asian represent. I'm sure we will decline since the newer generation, more American, lacks the Asian work ethic. Yeah, but we got U.S. whites on here too, crushing, man. So I mean, on PISA scores, I don't know about that. I don't know if they lack the Asian work ethic because I actually think the work ethic for the young people are going to be pretty good. I disagree. I worked in tech with many Indians. It's heaven or hell. Many are useless, not sure if it's cultural, language barriers sometimes. And don't forget, freaking Indians are the caste system still, like Vivek is a freaking Brahmin. You know what I'm saying? It's a rich boy. Vivek's a rich boy. Vivek ain't pound sand too. Ford CO, yeah, right. I don't buy that for 2 seconds. I saw that. I don't buy that for 2 seconds flat. I don't buy it. I think his way of saying that is basically he's saying that in order to get foreign workers to come in here. I don't buy for 2 seconds. You can't find 5,000 mechanics in the United States for 120,000. Some mechanic posted on Facebook. He said, "This is bullcrap. They're not paying 120,000 for the mechanics. They're not." That's what he said. This is bullcrap. And I said, "Oh, it makes sense." Yeah, and we don't need coders and engineers from India. We have plenty of coders and engineers in the United States. Anyway, the problem. Oh yeah, Vietnam, the Cubans and Vietnamese, man, the Polish. I mean, you get the people fleeing from communist places. You know what I'm saying? The Chinese, they're going to crush. They're not refugees. I mean, the refugees, real refugees. But if you just get them fleeing economic refugee status, no, man. That's what they're doing. The FBI agents were sitting there sniffing Melania's panties. Absolutely. The problem with automakers is that they pay on book time. They don't get paid a salary. So 4 hours for a certain job, if it takes you only 6, you don't get paid. There's no, I didn't know that, but I don't buy for 2 seconds flat that you're going to make $10,000 a month and working as an auto mechanic, and Ford can't find 5,000. I don't buy that. I don't buy that at all. But anyway, a good point, Joe Mom. All right, I can get out of here, my friends. I'm gonna go watch the hockey game, the football game. Appreciate it. God bless. Anyway, just side note, I'm still, Trump still better than the alternative. Absolutely. He just needs to pull that head out of his ass before 2026 comes around. And I'm not going to be a sycophant for him. Say, "Oh, Trump, I didn't do it during COVID." I mean, I was anti-Trump during COVID. People like, "Oh, I got the same pushback." Well, if we just got dragged Trump over the finish line. No, I'm not going along with a guy who said 2 weeks, and he said, "Well, maybe Easter," and then said this, and then he started bash Sweden. He started bash DeSantis, started bash Brian Kemp. No. Trump was wrong. He had Fauci up there next to him the whole time. He had freaking Birx. Now, screw that dude. He screwed up, and pandemic was a big one right there. That was a big, big mistake. It's a big mistake. Not just Trump, but the whole damn world. And as such, my doubts are my spidey senses when I see Trump going on these things, attacking Tucker. I don't know if he attacked Tucker, but attacking Marjorie Taylor Greene, Thomas Massie. I'm like, Trump, I think you're getting off the reservation. I think you're losing the reservation here. Here's Pablo. Yeah, there he is. And he had a bath today too, didn't you? He smells so good. All right, and get out of here. God bless. We'll see y'all. Peace in the hood.